Tell us about Allston Trading.
We have approximately 150 people who work for Allston, most of them here in the United States. We've been in business for 10 years. We're a market maker in futures, equities, as well as options. We've increased the firm by anywhere from sort of 10 to 15% in the past year as our way of making investments in what we're currently doing.
What are your thoughts on HFT and whether it should be regulated?
The debate over high-frequency trading, I actually think, is slightly misguided because the first thing we need to do is define what we mean by high frequency and who, in fact, is practicing that method of trading. And I would submit that it's a larger swath of the market than many people acknowledge. I actually think that the first thing we need to do is recast the question around what's the problem we're really trying to solve. Is it complexity, and is it speed, and why is the issue with speed necessarily?
What issues are regulators dealing with?
One is the complexity with the market structure. So all discussions around dark pools, should we have this level of fragmentation? That's a healthy debate and discussion that needs to happen. The second is, are the various members of the trading community that are participants in the market, do they have appropriate controls in place?
How should regulators approach these issues?
I think the first thing they have to do is finish what they started with Dodd-Frank. So as I understand it, 1/3 of Dodd-Frank is implemented, 1/3 is in the process of being implemented, and 1/3 has yet to be interpreted in a way that can be implemented. I would eliminate the temptation to use three-letter acronyms like high-frequency trading and go back to say, what are really the problems that we're trying to solve?
How will transaction taxes affect the market?
I think transaction taxes will compromise liquidity. I think it will widen spreads. How much? I don't know, because we're talking about unprecedented situations here where we haven't looked at a completely electronic market that's going to experience what Germany's proposing, for instance. As a result, you won't generate the revenue that you had expected. So I'm not sure what the public policy benefit is of a transaction tax.
What's the main priority for the principal traders group?
It starts with making sure we have a seat at the table as market structure issues are debated and discussed. For example, swaps execution facility language, the SEF rules coming out from the CFTC. Another issue would be any subsequent rule changes in market structure related to futures, like futurization, those types of trends. So I think those are two examples of things that we're keeping our eye on.
What is the biggest change proprietary trading firms have undergone?
The pivot from founders who were traders, who assembled a group of traders and did well, to professional organizations. And that transition is not easy. It requires fresh perspectives, potentially new additions to the management team. And I think that that's the biggest issue right now is how are firms that have been successful for the past 10 to 20 years going to be successful for the next 10 to 20 years, where you really have changes at every level.
How do you look at speed?
The way I think about it is you need to be smarter than the fastest person and faster than the smartest person. But if your entire trading, I would say, strategy is dependent upon speed, I think that has a very, very low shelf life. I'll tell you today, as a firm, speed is just one ingredient in what we do, and many of the trades that we had historically that were completely speed dependent are no longer successful.
When you look at opportunities today, what factors are important?
As I chart our course, I look at what are we really good at, and then what are those adjacent opportunities, and then how do we make that happen? In some cases, it's taking talented people and repurposing them towards those opportunities. In other instances, we need to bring people from the outside who have experience in that area to supplement our existing talent.
What are your thoughts on volume and liquidity going forward?
I think we'll see a mild uptick. I don't think it's going to be overwhelmingly substantial. There is one game changer potentially, and that is if Dodd-Frank does prompt this entire over-the-counter world of products to get futurized, then that could be a non-linear boon to volumes. Now all of a sudden, people who trade swaps and OTC products, if the exchanges are successful at making them futures, and those participants actually just move and start trading more futures, then I think we'll see, just through the introduction of new products, a big surge in volumes.